But he passed away. He's passed away. Hey, how are you?
It was like
Pretty good.
yeah.
Yeah. You all right? I'll say, hey girl, how are you?
Well, said she's gonna see you today.
Well, I saw them big, and then I rushed up, so I went over. Policy committee meeting at 4:30. Education meeting at 6:00. Adjournment by me at the state, and I didn't get to see the
Maybe it's later.
Hey, perhaps, there's always there's always
I will be, so you can.
How are you? Good to see you.
Okay, everyone, it's 6:31. We're going to go ahead and get the meeting started. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
I will say, before I get started, we have a recording device here. We're also, I think, live streaming and on Zoom as well. Prior to the meeting, we had an executive session where we talked about real estate, legal and personnel matters. And we do want to rearrange the agenda just a little bit. In new business item B, we're going to move that up to right after the approval of minutes. Okay, thank you. So, item 2.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of February 11th, 2025.
Second.
Motion made by Supervisor Iacono and seconded by Supervisor Derganessian. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'm gonna read a proclamation honoring Virginia Hayes of Garnet Valley. It's proclamation 2025-01. Whereas the Gold Award is the highest and most prestigious award in Girl Scouts, equivalent to the Eagle Scout Award in Boy Scouts, requiring an independent leadership project that addresses a community need through sustainable action. And whereas Bethel resident Virginia Hayes of Garnet Valley Service Unit Troop 5952 has demonstrated outstanding leadership, initiative, and dedication in earning her Gold Award in 2024. And whereas Virginia partnered with the Concord Township Historical Society to establish and operate a lending library at the newly renovated and reopened historic AME Church on Spring Valley Road, ensuring community access to literature that highlights African-American authors and experiences. And whereas she collaborated with the Rachel Cole Library and members of the community to collect books that reflect and honor African-American heritage, thereby enriching local educational and cultural resources. And whereas Virginia officially presented her project to the public during the AME Church's grand reopening celebration on Juneteenth, which was June 19th, 2024, gaining recognition from both community members and local media. And whereas Virginia Hayes exemplifies a spirit of service, education, and historical preservation through her dedication to this project, leaving a lasting impact on the community and inspiring future generations of young leaders. Now, therefore, be it resolved that on this day, Tuesday, March 11th, 2025, we recognize and commend Virginia Hayes for her remarkable achievements and contributions to the community. Her commitment to service and education serves as a shining example of leadership, and we express our sincere appreciation for her efforts to promote literacy and honor cultural heritage in our community. I think that's it. Do you sign this then?
I will sign it. Congratulations.
No, we're gonna come in front.
You can jump.
Thank you for honoring me. That's very sweet.
Congratulations.
Yeah, we're gonna-
So that will be the first picture.
The way you kind of grab a couple, so yeah, of course.
And then one with the.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Bad boy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Moral support.
Yes.
I'll get up next round.
Yeah,
You got it.
Okay.
Let's go.
All right, all right, I'm going to join you.
Do you want me to say, do you want to thank me for your job?
Yeah, whatever you try. I need you in there, Here, I'll scoot down in front.
Oh.
There
Oh,
Hey,
boy.
hey,
Someone
there we
wants
go.
to be a star, I guess.
Here we go. Wonderful.
Only you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Top, take it, man. Top, take it.
I will share a copy. Rob will be a copy of the first time, you can send me.
All right, I love you.
Yeah.
I know. I'm very fluent.
Congratulations.
Yes.
You can go. You don't have to.
You guys.
We wanna hang out.
Yep.
Okay.
Go back to your meeting.
It was a very nice meeting.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did you want any kind of board report or what was in the packet is okay?
Thank you.
It's good. We'll talk. It's good. Yeah,
All right, okay, you have my number.
I do.
All right.
I'll see you guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for that. We're gonna now move into the treasurer's report. Peter? Good evening.
Make sure that mic is on.
Got kicked out of his regular seat.
I know.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hope you've had a chance to take a look at my report. One of the first things I'd like to point out, I did find a typo under 1A. Second sentence there, there's actually an increase in money for the month. We ended up with 4.9 million and we'd started at 4.7 million. So we're actually up 218,000 for the month of February, which is a good thing. In addition, we are up $500,000 from where we were a year ago. Currently, township-wide, we've got $4,923,371.34. 1 year ago at this point, in the year after 2 months of activity, we're at $4,420,276.78. Strong first 2 months, which is a good thing. Our adjusted net income for the 2 months was actually a loss of $175,000, but we budgeted $382,000 loss. So we're actually $200,000 ahead of where we anticipated. Really, a lot of it has to do with the cash in, and a lot of it has to do with our expenditures being down significantly over what we had budgeted for the 2 months. So we're $368,000 less than what we had anticipated spending, and we're $168,000 less of what we would have received. So that's the reason for that $200,000 target variance. Just some of the notes under revenue, transfer taxes we're $38,000, over $38,000 more than we thought we would have received at this point. Per budget, reflecting the strong market value and saleability of the real estate here in the township. And miscellaneous revenue, $10,000 was collected. A large part of that was unvested pension dollars that came in from the resignation of the finance director. One of the things I want to just touch on, under the expenditures, there's a significant dollar amount under the EMS expense fund. We just haven't set up that account yet and moved that money into the EMS fund. Once that does, that positive variance will disappear. And lastly, just touching on the trash fund, which is, we always have to keep our eye on that, particularly the first 2 months of the year when revenues haven't started coming in yet. And we're showing a positive budget variance of over $100,000 there. So the budgeting work that we did with your assistance to get us to where revenues are collected in that fund. The trash is on the real estate tax bills. Worked out very well. So.
Thank you, Peter.
That
I
concludes my
have a
report.
question. The
Sure.
EMS fund, I know you said we didn't set up those accounts. What about Pliget? Like, could we not transfer that money into Pliget now? So
No, we can, yes.
so we shouldn't wait on
Yeah,
that.
no, we're not going to wait on that. No.
Okay.
It hasn't happened as of the end of February.
Thank you. Any other questions for Peter? Appreciate it. So I'd like to make a motion to accept the treasurer's report, pay all bills and all relevant escrows.
Second.
Motion made by myself and seconded by Supervisor Derhinessian. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Into reports. So the first item we have is the resolving the tax appeal. Mr. Madron, I think he might be on. Is that correct? Yeah.
Can't see him, but he's there.
Would you like to
Yeah,
kind of give
I'm
a
here.
background on that?
So we have a tax appeal. I'm sorry, I don't have my chart up, my memo up. But we have a tax appeal. Can you remind me the address, Bill? It's on the agenda.
Yeah, it's 1184 Chelsea Road.
1184 Chelsea Road. Thank you. This is a property that was subject to an interim assessment. The interim assessment came in just in excess of $1.4 million. The difficulty in the county with interim assessments is that they generally assess them at market value instead of market value times the common level ratio. And our common level ratio is down in the 60s, 60%. So the homeowner and the school district agreed on a market value of 1.4 million. When you multiply that by the common level ratio, you get an assessment of 921,000 roughly. So that would be the stipulation I'm requesting your authorization to sign, is to set the assessment for 2024 at that number.
Great. Thank you, Mike. So I'd like to make a motion for the authorization to enter into a stipulation to resolve tax appeal for 1184 Chelsea Road, establishing an assessed property value of $921,200 for the 2024 tax year.
Second.
Motion made by myself and seconded by Supervisor Derhinessian. Any discussion other than the description we had? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Into taxes. Do I have the tax report? Just give me 1 second. I just have to pull it up. Sorry about that, everyone. During the month of February, there were 483 invoices collected for the 2025 taxes. The total tax collected for February was $361,416.87 and was remitted to the township in 2 installments, February 25th, 2025 and March 5th, 2025. As of February 28th, 2025, it is 483 out of 3,577, or 13.5% as compared to 17.49% in the prior year. I know that Mr. Plash is not here tonight, but is there any questions on the tax collection? Okay. Moving on, I have a couple items. The first one is I'm going to make a motion to update the township's authorized signers with Pliget Client Services Group.
Second.
Motion made by myself and seconded by Supervisor Derhinessian. So I think what I saw in the packet, and it's also part of the articles online, is that our bank was just requesting that the signatures be revised for the new accounts that were established, and those authorized signers would be board members. Any other discussion related to that? All those in favor? Motion carries. Second item is a motion. I'd like to make a motion to appoint Donna Gibson as Assistant Tax Collector.
Go ahead.
No, I'll second it.
Motion made by myself and seconded by Supervisor Iacono. So currently, Dr. Addison is our Assistant Tax Collector. That's just a form of redundancy that was there once our former accountant Marco had left. Now that we have Donna Gibson in that position, it's right to assign that role to her as Assistant Tax Collector. Any other discussion on that? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Public Safety.
Good evening, Chief.
Hi, good evening. Good evening, how's everyone?
Doing good.
For the month of February, we had 820 calls for service. There were 55 medical emergencies, 1 DUI, 5 alarms, 65 traffic stops resulting in 41 citations, 9 domestics, 11 crashes, 8 thefts. There were 2 new fraud investigations, 11 other criminal investigations, 401 building and development checks, 19 vacation home checks, 10 suspicious vehicles and persons, and then there were 182 miscellaneous calls. There was a question last month, I believe it was from Mr. Lincoln about the Viper system. So I did a little bit of digging into our Viper system and some of our statistics. From October 1st through February 28th, the Viper system has contributed to 315 vehicle stops, resulting in 219 traffic citations, 113 warnings for various violations, and 11 vehicles were towed under Pennsylvania's livestock program. The Viper system has also been utilized in several criminal investigations, and at least one case, a criminal complaint, was generated out of that. The system has also been used in approximately 15 investigations through our area and also into assisting departments that are around us. And the one thing about the Viper system that unfortunately cannot be measured is that it does serve as a constant deterrent because the criminals know that we can now see the vehicles they're using and they're less likely to, use those vehicles again or use those registrations again because they know that we can now track them as we can go into the system and put a license plate in and find out where it is hit anywhere in the entire county area, even all the way up through Montgomery County, and out into Bucks County. So it's a constant deterrent for the criminals themselves. I did notice on one of my websites that the IRS is now recommending that you'd file your tax returns as early as possible because the scammers are now starting to file fraudulent tax forms for the year 2024 in your name and collecting a refund because they report income traditionally much lower, therefore they get much money back. The only other thing is obviously, be situationally aware as we've discussed before, if you see something that, just doesn't look right, call 911, report it to the authorities, let us come out, check it. If it's not right, we can deal with it. If it is right and everything's okay, then, no harm, no foul. That's what your police department is here for. So if there are no questions.
So building and development checks, does somebody call for that or is that just?
No, that's all officer initiated.
Got it.
When the officers are out, they will traditionally, while they're on patrol, especially on the midnight shift, they drive around the building. They may get out and pull some doors, check some doors to see if they're locked. If anything looks suspicious in the area or there's some unusual lights on or in the case of when we had the burglary at the farmer's market, the officer was driving around and actually could hear banging coming from inside the building and of course scratching his head at 2:00 in the morning thinking who would be in the building banging at this hour, and as it turned out it was the local burglar. So no, they're officer initiated calls.
Does that include like checks for all of our parks and everything too in that?
We do not include our park checks, but they are routinely checked on both the 4 to 12 shift and the midnight shift by the officers.
And then my second question was, the statistics you just gave on the Viper, can you share them like via email or?
I can
Oh,
share
that-
them
that's
right here
great
if
too.
you
That would
wish.
be perfect. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
But I would be happy to send you an email with that.
No,
too.
this is great.
Or
thank you.
anything else would-
That's it for me. Anybody
Any other
else?
questions?
We're good. Thank
I'm
you,
probably
Chief.
gonna follow up with you on the medical calls I'll get to that in my report, but
Yeah, we can discuss that.
yeah, okay.
Mine's right.
That's kind of what I thought.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And Chief Heacock, you here? How you doing?
Okay, we had 42 calls for service this month, 91 year to date. 14 calls within Bethel Township, 1 building fire, 4 medical assists, one MVC, motor vehicle collision. 3 Pico for wires emergencies, 1 carbon monoxide and 2 brush wires. We had 28 mutual aid assignments, 8 to Congerville, 6 to Upper Chichester, 6 to Tallyville, 7 to Claymont, and 1 to Aston, and we had 1 drill a month. So we're trying to open up our training schedule. Now the weather's getting nicer, we're gonna be expanding that. So
I have a
that's all I
question.
really have.
Did you guys, you sent out your annual?
Yes, the annual
fundraising?
drive went out last week, or last month, earlier, in the month, 2 weeks ago. It went out 2 weeks ago, so, and, yeah,
Well, just,
that is not
You wanna
my,
give a- give
that
a
is not
plug?
my tea, that
Give a
is a,
plug there.
that-
Come on.
no, that's
Yeah,
a,
you're
that's
up
a,
here. You can talk about
that's a
it.
financial,
Sure.
we put it out, last year we received 33% return, 34% return, something like that. So we're hoping for about the same thing,
or better.
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 We're hoping for better.
or better.
And
Yes,
there's an
hopefully it
online
works out.
option too, I
What?
think. There's an online option.
Yes, there is an
wanna go
online
online.
option to pay through PayPal. And we're actually working on, I think, Venmo,
Awesome.
so.
And as a point of clarity, the fire tax that we pay is for the apparatus, but everything else that's being done to keep that volunteer fire company,
We have to raise ourselves.
it's the funds you raise
Yeah.
yourself. So that's all the PPE and the rent and all the utilities and everything else. that
Building
you guys
maintenance,
need.
January, we had a $3,000, I believe, or more gas bill. Just for natural gas in the building. So yeah, it gets costly. So just to maintain the building.
Yeah.
Okay?
And I know the Girl Scouts came by this past
Yes.
month, so I appreciate you guys, opening up and letting the young women understand what you all do. And
I love the way you hit me with administrative. I'm just fire end, I leave the administrative. We got the chairman of the board stand up here and talk to you, but, yes. Yeah, actually, I'll try and get them to give me a report. Maybe the vice president will take care of that. So,
thank you, Chief.
thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, Lance, I don't know if there's anything you guys want to add as the chairman? No, he's in the middle of conversation. That's okay. No, I didn't know if Lance had anything he wanted to add based on some of the other topics, but
He's a no. That's a no-go.
that's fine. I do have a letter from you, and that's going to be the next agenda item that we have. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the release of funds in the amount of $11,583 from the fire tax fund for the 2025 HEMA loan payment on truck 66.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made by myself and seconded by Supervisor Iacono. This is our annual payment to the fire company to pay for the 2013 Pierce Quint. Is there any discussion about this? And again, just so it's in the articles, but it's the exact amount, the exact loan amount on an annual basis. So all those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Emergency medical services.
Yeah, this is a new one. We're gonna try and be reporting this out, although I think it's a little bit of a work in progress on how they're giving us their call information. But Mainline Health provided a call breakdown of 127 calls for service in Bethel Township for the month of February. The Bethel unit responded to 86 of those calls. 40 were basic life support, 46 were basic life support, 40 were advanced life support, and 41 were handled by mutual aid services. We're working with them, and I'm working with our police chief to make sure we have the accurate information on accounts for service. So keep an eye on that. We'll be reporting that out monthly now. And I'll just go right into the emergency management report. We had a big windstorm. We had some road closures on February 23rd. Numerous trees came down on wires. There were no injuries or permanent damage reported. Our highway crew, our fire department, our police department, and our highway police fire emergency management coordinator, we're all working together to try and get the information out to the public. So I want to thank all of them for their help in providing that information. Our emergency management coordinator has been working with, kind of keeping an eye on what's going on with the Crozier Hospital and any precautionary plans, and updating emergency contact information for all the Mainline Health switchover for EMS. And that concludes the emergency medical and emergency management reports.
Thank you. You want to keep going?
I'll just keep going. Yeah, why not? Highway Department report for February 2025. Crews repaired and painted the tailgate on truck 8, repaired and painted the fender on truck 3, fixed the power washer, serviced and inspected 2 patrol cars, serviced the plows after the snow events and made adjustments. They had several snow and icing events, over 100 man-hours plowing and salting, and used roughly 100 tons of salt. Cleaned and neutralized the equipment after the snow events. They were out during the strong windstorm, working in conjunction with the police and fire department, putting up road closure signs, clearing roadways where they can, installed stop signs at Falk and Namens Creek because of power outages, and then spent the following days cleaning up all the debris. Busy month that they were working on there. Buildings and grounds, they cleaned up large trash and hauled to the dump, washed down and neutralized the shop floors after the snow events, painted the shop office and reorganized shelving, and replaced all filters in the HVAC system on campus. Brett hopes there will be no more snowstorms this year, but I'm still thinking maybe we might get one. That concludes the facilities reports.
Thank you. On to the board reports. First would have been Parks and Recreation, but they did not hold a meeting last month. They weren't able to get a quorum, so there's no report for that group. On to zoning.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. The Bethel Township Zoning Hearing Board report for February 2025. The board had 3 items on the agenda in February. The first was a use variance request for an office and indoor storage of tools and equipment at 1212 Namens Creek Road, and this was denied. The second was a request for a temporary variance to allow an accounting office to continue to operate until June 30th, 2025 at 1577 Spring Meadow Lane, and this was granted. The last item was a variance request for a detached garage with a height of 17.8 feet in lieu of the permitted maximum height of 16 feet at 3791 Link Drive, and this was also granted. The board's next meeting will be held on Wednesday, March 26, 2025. At this time, the board will be considering the following variance requests: 2025-02, application for property located at 47 Venuti Drive. The applicant is seeking relief from Bethel Township Zoning Ordinance 182, Section 1916-2-C, in order to erect a fence in the front yard. Property is zoned R1 residential. And that was submitted by Gary Lanahan. Mr. Lanahan, anything to add?
No, we covered it all.
All right, thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. On to planning.
The planning commission did not have a meeting this month. There was nothing on the agenda for them, so we'll see what next month brings.
Thank you. On to sewer authority.
Sure, so I'll take the sewer authority report. Dedication work continues on the last phase of Foxfield, and the developer is also moving forward dedication of sanitary sewer on Creekside Run. The pump station upgrades, they're starting the final design. Expected to finish that by early 2025, and looking to bid the project in 2 phases, starting in the spring and installation in the summer of 2025. Work on the repairs for the smoke testing identified during smoke testing are underway. Surface level repairs are complete, but inspections are still needed. The repairs requiring excavation are scheduled to be completed by spring, summer 2025. The authority received a grant to install new or replace 4 generators for the pump stations at Green Glen, Northbrook, Scotts Glen, and Lumen Circle. They're looking to bid that also in 2 phases, procurement in the spring and installation in the summer. I think that concludes the report. Donna, did you want to add anything?
Thank you. On to education.
Thank you. So for the Garnet Valley School District, we have an email here from Dr. Mark Bertrando. They recently met with the District Advisory Committee to share an update on Screen Smart GV. That's an initiative designed to help students use technology with purpose, balance, and responsibility, enhancing focus, well-being, and meaningful connections, both online and offline. And a key focus of that discussion was the upcoming changes to the school district's cell phone policies and digital citizenship curriculum, which will take effect next year. Building administrators will communicate these updates directly to families, and they highlighted the vital role parents play in shaping students' healthy tech habits. So they also went into, for each school, the rules will be kind of broken down differently because of the way that technology is used in each of the schools by the different ages. And I think that concludes my report.
Thank you.
Go to the library.
Yes, please.
So for the Rachel Cole Library Report, they provide the board members from Bethel are Garrick Weaver and Angela Horseman, and they provided Some interesting statistics from 2024. The library has a total of 110,979 items that circulate. Of those, 69,000 approximately are in electronic format and 57,000 are in physical format. So I think that's kind of a change to go. There's more electronic items that circulate. Of the 14,055 card holders, Bethel residents account for 3,285 of them, which is about 25% of the total. They circulated 242,354 items last year, and of those, 61,800 were taken out by Bethel residents, which is again about 25% of the total. They offered 444 programs last year, including all ages, and they had 11,206 participants. They want to remind the community that they offer at-home delivery services. And if there's anything that you have a particular interest in that you would either want to share your knowledge in and maybe do a presentation, you can reach out to the library and they will help you facilitate that. And I think that concludes that report.
Thank you. The manager report, Dr. Addison.
Sure, Mr. Chairman.
The township is actively working with our website designer to implement a temporary emergency banner that will span the top of the township's website. This banner will provide real-time updates on severe weather events, road closures, public safety emergencies. Additionally, we plan to integrate the Delco Alert notification system into our website. This system will deliver immediate alerts through the multiple channels, including mobile devices, emails, landline phones, ensuring residents stay informed when it matters most. At the top of the township's website, there'll be a temporary banner that'll come across either yellow or gold, and it'll just run across there for updated news alerts when we get from the EMC, our police department, or our highway department. The township has been working with our trusted pen testing company to conduct comprehensive cybersecurity assessments. These proactive measures help identify and address vulnerabilities, protect sensitive data, and ensure the integrity of the township's operation system. As cyber threats continue to evolve, strengthening our infrastructure remains an important priority. Stormwater response. We sincerely thank our highway department. Thank you. Our police department, chief. Thank you. Fire department, Lance, Mike, for their swift responses to the recent storm and the power outage. Their dedication ensured public safety, assisted residents, and minimized disruptions. The highway department cleared debris and restored roads, while the police and fire provided emergency support and welfare checks. Their professionalism and commitment reflect the strength of our community. As we continue to prioritize public safety, communication, and our infrastructure security, we encourage residents to stay engaged and informed. Updates on these initiatives will be shared on our website as well as social media. That concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Dr. Addison. I do want to say just on this this banner that's going up,
Yes.
Once that gets piloted, rolled out, that would ideally be the spot where any resident would be able to look at and have the up-to-date information.
Ideally, the website will be there, and when there's an alert posted, it'll come across in the banner across the top of our, like the Bethel Township here. They'll be able to see that, click on it, which will take them to a secondary page with the information such as a telephone pole here on Bethel Road being down, intersections at Ebright and Naaman's Creek Road were down like that. And then additional information will be, the banner will go across update at certain time. And that'll go to the second part of that page.
No, I think it's a great feature because people, I think, are looking at different sources. Yes. They're getting information from other municipalities, which is going to happen regardless, but the official response from the township ideally is going to start with that banner and a link to the separate page.
Correct.
That's
yes.
Great. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we don't have any old business on the agenda, but into the new business.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 2025-09, authorizing an application to the Delaware County Council for an allocation of county liquid fuel tax in 2025 for the municipal roadway street improvements program. And this is just money that we request from the county every year. It's $2,160 to help us fund our roadway and improvement programs.
And I will second that. Is there any other discussion on this resolution? So motion made by Supervisor Iacono, seconded by myself. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We already took care of item B. We'll go to item C. The authorization to advertise a public meeting to discuss tax and trash fees. So the intent, I guess, of the board was to have a conversation around, we're getting the resident feedback that school taxes increased, county taxes increased, local taxes increased, and inflation's still where it's at. Everybody's car insurance is going up. So I think we're sensitive to that, and we're on solid footing on the decisions that we made in terms of why taxes are where they're at. But I think there needs to be an opportunity to discuss that in greater detail. So the intent is to have a meeting where we have a more in-depth presentation about how the tax money is parsed out, what it looked like year on year, and really, in concert with the letter that was sent out with the tax bill, the reason why the millage had changed for those three key items. So I think nominally we were looking to hold that special meeting on the last Tuesday of the month, which is consistent with what we had done in the previous year when we had working sessions and when we had the Schaefer meeting in the last Tuesday of January. So, but wanted to have that conversation with the rest of the board members and with the public to see if there's validity to that. I'm gonna take a drink. Is there any comment from the board?
No, I think it's a good idea.
So you're gonna do it the last Tuesday at what time? 6:30?
Be the 25th.
I believe so.
I guess when you make your motion, you're gonna make a motion for that.
Yeah, I would. But from a time standpoint, Dr. Addison, do you know, 6:30 or 7? Is there?
6:30 is when we've done all the other
Yeah.
work sessions.
It is the
Yeah,
20th.
perfect. Yeah, thank you. And again, I think the format for that would be March 25th is,
6:30 p.m.
it would probably be maybe a 20-minute presentation, and we'll do our best to try to answer folks' questions. And ideally, we'd have tax collector there and representatives from our accounting department so that we can, I don't know how detailed we're going to need to get into certain line items, but I think we just want to have that ability to be available. Any comments from the public on that?
Question, will it be only about tax, the tax stuff, like, can you put something in like that other issues wouldn't be discussed,
It's a great comment.
Not sat through all that, so I need to try that.
Yeah, understood. And I did forget to, thank you, Diane. I forgot to mention something else. We're not looking to take any action in this meeting either. So, but correct, the only agenda item would be to really discuss, we're just sensitive to what we're hearing from our neighbors and folks online that for some people, it feels like the increase came out of the blue. And for folks that hadn't been tracking the EMS situation, I can see how that would be a shock. But not only is it a service that we're required to have, I think we desperately need it. And it's great that we have EMS services within the municipality. So trash is another one. I think we need to go over the discussion of how that bid process went. And, the choice that we made was rooted in the economics, and that over the course of the contract, I think that this trash service is going to be more cost effective. So that's a great point. We'll make sure to say it's really just around the tax discussion.
It's hard to look at it, but.
Yeah. Yes. Any other comments? Okay, with that, I'd like to.
I got a quick one.
Sure.
From up here.
You guys are gonna have to come
No
up
one's
with-
gonna.
I feel so bad because
But no one can do it. No one heard him guessing at all.
yes. Thank you.
James McDaniel, 1415 Zebby Road East. The EMS people. The nursing home, or convalescent home on Ames Creek Road, do they use them?
For emergencies, they don't. use them
Right,
for
well,
transport.
are they picking up any of this cost? because that's a business for them. Also, next question, I'll let you answer that one.
The convalescent home.
The name is Free Country Manor. They pay they pay property tax.
When you name all the calls, I would be willing
They
to
don't pick
bet.
up a higher percentage of cost, no.
Yeah, but
That's not what
they
you're
probably
asking?
have the most calls
Yeah, I mean.
and they're not
it's
picking up none of this tab. That don't seem right. Also, if you have rental properties in the township, people turn, rent houses out, making a profit. They should pay more for trash also. Because that's not a home, it's a profit-making business, okay? Same thing, you got houses renting out the rooms. They should pay more too. Okay?
I like the thought about the nursing home. That's something maybe we can look into.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's only fair. It's a business. They're making money.
I have to look at what their call breakdown is. I haven't nailed it down that, so that's something I'll look at when I look at the call volume. I know I see that they do like transports and they don't use our ambulance. They call like
Right,
third
but I
party
mean-
service, but for emergencies,
How many ambulance calls was there? I thought it was 102 or something.
120 if that's.
Right, and
Fully accurate.
I'd be willing to bet most of them, a third of them's for up there,
We'll take a look.
I'm sorry, are they individual residences?
No, they're not, but
Okay.
he's probably not right that a good bulk of calls probably comes from them. I don't know that.
I know it's the trash people. What we need is and I noticed at the meeting for this, what we need is a trash company who picks up trash. We had that other outfit for years and years and years, and I understand how the bid process works. But did the company we had for years and years actually picked up trash? And the one we got now is kind of selective. Did the one we have for years have an opportunity to come lower than the other guy's bid? Say, look, we'll hire you back on if you come down to this guy's bid?
No, because
I don't think you can do
that's
that.
kind of that's breaking the
All right.
competitive bid.
Okay.
Yeah.
My daughter-in-law lives in Aston,
Mhm.
and she pre-warned me about these people. They don't pick up trash. They got a lot, because I built a ramp down there for a relative, 22 feet long, 8-foot landing, and there was a lot of waste. And that trash company is the same one we have. They want to know whether it was treated wood, whether it had nails in it. It was too heavy. It was this and that. And she called the township up and complained, and then they took it. So I think this company you have right now, in my opinion, there's a lot of BS with them. And the other thing is, I've been a union guy all my life. When I see that trash truck go up the road, and there's one guy on the back working his tail off, that's not right. If he gets caught in that machine, he's done. Maybe that's why the guy's a low bidder, because most of the time he only has one guy on the back. I mean, that's out of our control, but that's not a good company, in my opinion. One guy on the back working his tail off, throwing trash cans. But that's probably why you undercut the other guy. But like I said, the big thing is they don't take all the trash. They look at it, it's too heavy, it's this, it's that. I bet you got more complaints from this trash guy than you did the whole amount of years you had the other trash company. And that's why they're low bid. That's all.
Thanks. Any other comments? Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to authorize to advertise a public meeting that we're going to hold for March 25th at 6:30 PM to discuss tax and trash fees.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Supervisor Derhinessian. All those in favor? Motion carries.
All right. The next one is I'd like to make a motion to appoint Rebecca Crowley as our trash and recycling coordinator.
Second.
Yes.
Donna Vance, 1612 Wendy Way. Why do we need one of those?
What, a trash and recycling coordinator?
It's mandated by statute.
I'm sorry?
It's a requirement of the statute, the state.
Okay, do we have one now?
Yes.
We did until, all right, Bill, are you in now? I don't know if we filled one in when,
Yeah, I filled in for that as well.
Yeah.
It's always
Looking
been our
at it.
secretary. And then when we were in transition, Bill took over. And Bill, explain what they do. They help apply for some of the grants and stuff for the trash.
As a title being done, and then for the county, they do the forms that have to go out to our haulers, like, for example, at the intersection here at the, where Dunkin' Donuts is, we send them a form, we put respond back to the recycling board there. So it's like, so it's a title.
I'm just saying, like, you're gonna have a meeting about the trash increase, and I know residents aren't gonna understand that. And they're gonna like, why the hell do we need a coordinator on top of what they've already done? So I didn't understand what it was
Yeah,
for.
this is specifically for the grant. This really isn't for the trash and recycling. This is just the grant process of the recycling.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, certainly.
I think I made the motion.
And I seconded.
Great, thank you. Motion made by Supervisor Iacono and seconded by Supervisor Derhinessian. Any other comment?
Bless you.
Bless you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, the last item we have under new business is an authorization to advertise ordinance 243 regulating open burning within the township. So I'm going to make a motion for that authorization now.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Supervisor Derhinessian. And then we can have discussion about it now. So it is part of the online materials. It's a pretty brief ordinance. It was something one of our residents brought up several months ago that surrounding communities do have burden ordinances. It's does make sense. So I think I had a couple of issues with what was written so far. So for me specifically, I think there was a limitation in the ordinance on like the number of amount of times an individual could have a fire pit or something per month. I think it was limited like once per month.
Chuck, fire pits aren't regulated. It's if you're doing a burn like yard materials or that sort of thing. That was one.
Yeah, it says you can.
But fire pits are
Fireplaces,
actually acceptable.
barbecues. Each must have changed it.
Okay, the other item was, I think there was a dusk till dawn limit. And I, a lot of times if I'm having a fire, that's usually goes it past sunset. So I'm not opposed to there being a limit if it's practical, if the fire company even makes sense to have something late. But to me, I'm gonna usually have a fire when it's dark too.
You're talking about like a campfire? Because I think it's different. He's got campfires,
That's
fire pits, small fires, barbecue grills, separate.
no provision for that.
No
There's no
provisions,
provisions.
no.
Okay, so this is only for that open burning of yard waste.
Yeah, yard waste and whatever else he's got in there.
Okay.
Right, like, and I think you and G might have had a similar question about how is it being tracked if there's a
Yes.
maximum?
So my question was, in the ordinance, it says, open burning is permitted herein and may occur a maximum of 12 days a year and no more than once per calendar month on any one property. How the heck do we regulate that?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Is the neighbor supposed to count and then complain every time it's, I'm sure you have some good comments. Just let me go through mine and then.
One person right there, who wrote this thing?
Yeah. So, I mean, I know some townships set like the first Saturday of the month and say you can only burn on the first Saturday of the month. I'm not sure if that's something we want to consider, but I don't know how you regulate 12 days a year, other than the township tracking when they get complaints.
No, that's a better idea, like the.
Set a day a month and then
Do you mind coming
can we go through our comments and then maybe take theirs?
up?
So that was the first question. And then the second question I had was, it says, open burning shall be permitted only in accordance with the provisions of this chapter with an annual permit from the township fire marshal. So are we charging a fee for them to burn? Is that the intent?
That's the intent, and that would go into
That
the
would-
fee resolution.
Is that what most other townships do?
The ones that require a permit do, yeah, because you've got a cost going out there.
But I mean-
My thought on this was that, it's best to get the fire marshal out there to look at location, make sure it's not going to be done too close to property lines, that sort of thing. So
So they have to pull-
that was the thought process in draft.
So they have to pull a permit, pay a fee, Brett has to go out and look at it and say whether they can burn or not? That seems,
Where they can burn, I guess, would be more like it.
I mean, the where I understand, because that was another one of my questions was location of burning, because I mean, I've seen people burn like in the woods. But I'm not sure about an annual permit. That's something I think I'd like to spend a little more time discussing and looking at. It seems like, you know, an extra cost to our residents that, you know, I don't know. And then the other question I have was the location. We don't really specify where they can't burn at all. And I guess that was meant because you intended for the fire marshal to go out and kind of dictate that, but I would maybe want, if we're not doing that inspection, some sort of stipulation on, you know, avoiding burning in woods or something along those lines. Those were my 3 comments.
I had a question about, 2D in here says, no person shall burn any materials in such a way as to cause smoke or ash to annoy adjoining residential property owners. And I'm not sure. I mean, I get it. I do, but like, I don't know. I just feel like everyone's just gonna call the police on each other.
Yeah, I'd seen other ordinances where they had like requirements on the amount of visibility of the smoke. And it was like, if you're burning leaves and it's pretty thick, but like, no one's out there measuring the thickness of the smoke either. So, yeah, I saw that as hard to enforce that one.
Yeah.
Too.
Brett, have you seen this yet or
I
no?
have not seen this. This is blowing me out of the road.
Okay.
It's nothing that I wrote. I took everybody surrounding us and basically what we had in the past. And I added a few things to it to simplify it, to make it simple for everybody. No permits, anything like that.
All right, so we need to get Brett a copy to review.
I'm never moving forward, but that.
Well, it's not, we're not approving it, we're not approving it tonight.
An issue, then what we're gonna try to solve
Yeah,
here.
we're not approving it tonight. This was for our open discussion.
Didn't you just pass it?
No, we're authorizing advertisement so that, you know.
Well, maybe you want to just table advertisement and let me circle these comments up and get Brett's and take another swing at it.
That's probably not a bad idea.
I didn't fully hear what he said.
Table it until we can read.
Yeah, that's fine, but Mike, could you go through the process? Because there's like, it's an advertisement now to get the ball rolling, but there's still opportunity for public comment.
Yeah, sure. I mean, so the authorization tonight, if you ended up doing it, would be just to run the ad. And then it would be presented at a meeting. There would be public comment before you vote on it. So I personally, and I think this went on the website with the packet, I'm a little reluctant to put ordinances up until they've had some level of discussion. Because the public might be wasting their time if you guys hate what I drafted, right? So, you know, I think it's a little bit of a learning curve on how we want to do this going forward. But it seems like it should get some refinement before we actually put it on the website.
And I think, I mean, what I've seen other municipalities do is put the ordinances that are up for consideration kind of separately, so people aren't hunting and pecking for it on the website. So maybe that's something we can do as a separate section. So, or like ordinances under consideration, and then they can review it and find it easily.
Yeah, I mean, I think once it's advertised.
Well, it'll ultimately be
packet right now.
right. That's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
when we get to that point, when the formal advertisement goes out, we should have on the website a location that says ordinances for consideration, and this should go on there so that it's easily located by the public. They can read it, and then the intent would be advertise, then have a meeting for additional discussion from us and the public, and then maybe the following month adopt.
I think they did.
Or can we not, if we advertise, we can't make significant changes? How does that work, Mike?
No, it's not an MPC ordinance. So, well, I guess you're right. You know,
So
once you
we have to
advertise it,
essentially.
it should be in what's intended to be its final form.
Okay.
now I think we can continue consideration to a date certain without re-advertising.
I think we should probably just
I need to
table it.
polish that up, but I, my recommendation would be we get these things in shape, we advertise them, then we put them on the website so the
Yep.
public knows what you're considering. And I think 9 times out of 10 people are generally okay with our ordinances. If every now and again you get a critical comment, you might want to table it and consider that comment.
So I mean, I think there was a couple hands up here that we want to get some feedback from, but
Yeah.
I would say, we should table this at least until next month and have, our solicitor incorporate some of our comments, have our fire marshal review it and provide comments.
Yeah, I'll second that. That's fine. And I think there's an effort to try to get the process started. But, we don't have feedback from the entire board otherwise to give the other folks an opportunity. But while we have a motion and a second on tabling the item, we'll take any comments from the public on this item.
This is James McDaniel, 1415 Zebby Road East. This is almost a waste of time because I don't know who wrote this thing. It's not even signed. Fire marshal had some input and he don't even know what it is. And that's not your fault. All right. That's not what you wrote. Comment about the ashes. When they remodeled the house behind me, contractor took everything out of the house because the people left it. Put all the furniture in a pile out back, set it on fire. I had ashes on my car, my deck furniture, stuff that I paid $1,500 for, had ashes all over it. So ashes are a big thing, and so does smoke. So I don't think anybody that's writing this is not saying you can't have a campfire, you can't have a family get together. It's nothing like that. It's the jerks that put stuff in a trash barrel 11 o'clock at night and it smolders all night. And I do think the permit is a good idea because now you can regulate how many times the people burn. And I'll tell you another thing, and I'm just guessing here, you have a dumpster ordinance now, which is a good thing. But if people have to get a permit for a dumpster or you regulate it, how long they can have the dumpster, they're going to put stuff in the backyard and burn it. So you can't have one without the other. I mean, this is just common sense.
Mike, the permit says annual permit, so they only have to apply once?
They would apply once a year, and my thought there was that lets the fire department know that, hey, this property has a burn permit. I think that's something the fire department should be aware of. Obviously I see the argument that less regulation is better too, but that was the thought process.
I think it's finding the happy medium.
That's an open ticket to burn. If you only get a permit once a year, that's an open ticket to burn all the time. If you say 12 times, you got to be able to regulate that. I tell you, I don't understand. If you just read Concord Township, it's excellent. And you got Chad's Ford in there. And the other, there's the other townships that's locked into that.
This one's based on something I drafted for Chad's Ford during COVID.
Okay.
They wanted to modify theirs before COVID hit. I drafted this and then COVID hit and they said, let's just shelve it.
What I was looking for, not just me, but I mean, a lot of people don't want to stand up here. This is for the nitwits to go out in the burn barrel. This is the people that take a couch out back and burn it. Them people are living in the township to do that. Yeah, it's hard to believe, but it does go on. So there's a lot of loopholes in this one. But like I say, if you look at Concord Townships, it's pretty right on. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks. Any other public comment? All right, so motion was made to table by Supervisor Iacono and seconded by myself.
I think so.
Okay. So all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. We'll push that down the road with some of the feedback from the board and others. On to announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The annual Easter egg hunt will be April 5th at 10 a.m. at Clayton Park, and the rain date will be April 12th.
Thank you. Well, that's all we have. Any other public comment? Please.
Diane Smith, 1602 Wendy Way. I had a couple comments. The Parks and Rec Department, I know you're having a little bit of trouble with that, but there haven't been minutes about what's been in the meetings for a while now. I don't know if they haven't had meetings or what it is, but a lot of times I want to read the minutes and then they're not there.
They're not on the website?
Yeah.
Okay.
They didn't have one last
Yeah.
month, so.
I know that. I didn't know you said that, but it's just, I went to read them this morning and, they haven't been there and I know, like I said, but anyway, it's just, if you can look into that.
I can at least speak to, they are issuing minutes.
Uh-huh.
So I think there must be a gap between them, issuing it and getting it to the township and put it online.
Okay. And then, maybe you can take a survey about the fire thing, I don't know. I guess my main thing was, one other thing. I noticed, I was on the website and, like you have people come up and talk like myself and you have our names, our full names and our addresses. And I know that and a lot of everything else is red listed these days and maybe you shouldn't have that on the website. Like, I don't know that I want my address on the public website.
I think that's how every municipality does it. Mike, can you speak to that? Is he
I
still?
mean, that's my experience, but it's certainly something I could take a look at and report back to you guys between now and next meeting.
I mean, maybe put initials and not the address or something. It just doesn't seem fair. I mean, you guys don't have your addresses on there and you speak every month, it just, and you're red listing. I notice more and more often things are red listed. I don't know if that's the right thing. Just everything, just if you give a copy of a letter, there's like half of it's blacked out, not half of it, but the people.
Oh, redacted, you mean?
Redacted, thank you. I don't have the wrong term.
That's okay. I was a little bit.
So, sorry, but that's what I mean. You know what I mean? Like, I just think maybe we should have a look at that in today's world. I don't know that that's a good idea to have, my address and my name there. I mean, anyway, and then the main thing I'm interested in, I'd like to know what the status of the permits are for Schaefer Park. And also, where are you on, the status of the general planning of Schaefer, with Schaefer Park and what's going on with phase 2? Because again, I'm going to repeat myself. I don't see how you can have, you don't know how much phase 2 is going to cost. How can you start phase 1? I don't think that's fair because we had a plan before that was all in one, and you knew that was going to be 1.5 million or whatever it was going to be. And now suddenly we have phase 1 and that's going to be 1.3. Well, how much is phase 2 going to be? Is that going to be also are we going to still get to 3 million? And what's that going to look like? I just, I'm nervous about phase 2. It's not done. Don't have anything to look at. And I don't think it's right that you're, starting phase 1 and
We're not starting anything right now.
Well, whatever, you know what I mean? No, I think you should have.
We haven't submitted any permits. We have been, starting to have conversations with PennDOT on what they would require for the driveway. So right now, that's where we're at until we kind of resolve what PennDOT's going to require. We can't really submit any permits. So we're working on that with a consultant. And they were working on incorporating comments from the public meeting about, the berms and the grading and things like that. So I don't have a timeline on when we're going to submit permits at this point. Like I said, we're still working through it. So.
And what about having NOLT? What's it
NOLT
going on
will
with
have to go
NOLT?
out and take a look at it. We authorized that last month, but until we have an updated plan, it's not worth it. They'll go out, they'll visit the site, then they'll review the plan. They'll take it to their board. They'll have a board meeting and determine whether the plan is in compliance and any modifications that need to be made. So that's kind of the next step, but they haven't taken any action yet either. We told them to hold off until we get our plan updated.
And when do you think that house, is that 2 months, 3 months?
Yeah, at least a month. I mean, we just started having the meetings with PennDOT. PennDOT's got to go out and take a look at the site again and kind of determine what needs to happen. So, kind of at their mercy, but.
I did want to add too, I think it's always the intent that you would see the final condition of the preserve at the same time that, let's say, phase one is produced. So they're looking to design whatever we can. Phase one is the economical way to get the park complete and meet all the requirements from the insurance company and have a fully functional park. And then there's other things like benches that would make a lot of sense.
Extra benches, the gazebo.
So there's some initial landscaping and there's proposed landscaping. And so that's the stuff. So my intent, unless I understand incorrectly, is you would see all of it and there would be certain sheets that are identified phase two.
Yeah, they'll have to permit, the drawings will have all of it on there. And then it'll be permitted. And then if there's any, the phase one essentially is a completed park. Like if we didn't do phase two is kind of like an extra wish list in a sense there's extra little amenities that are nice, but cost that extra money that we could.
So buffers for the neighbors is
That would be a
wish list.
That would be phase one.
Because
Phase one.
right now they're not on phase one.
Well, that plan was not a phase one plan. That was a concept plan that you saw.
There was no landscaping.
There was no landscaping shown, period, on that plan.
Right.
And I'm saying that to say, I sense that there's a possibility that you might think that after this is set and it starts to get built, that there's going to be this other design effort for adding a bunch of extra things.
Absolutely, I'm worried about that.
There's no plan for that. The plan is to take the vision that started by Simone Collins, it's being refined by Chester Valley, to do what we can do now to get it open, and then the things that would really be great. And when I'm saying really great, I'm not talking about anything other than what you've seen before, which is gazebos, benches, curb stops, additional trees. You might have a little pollinator garden, that kind of stuff is what would be in the phase two. As much as we can not do day one, we want to push to keep the initial cost down. But I'm just trying to say there's no bait and switch there's this other plan to have additional trail loops, that the trails would be the trails.
Right.
That's interesting that you said about the bait and switch, because I have heard that, being thrown around, because we had a fairly, I think the second plan is radically different from the Simone plan that was presented to the public. And so it's funny that you said, obviously someone said that to you.
And to give a little context, the construction work, the earth disturbance is all permitted through the state. That's typically a 5-year permit. So the construction of the trails, the construction of the parking lot, the construction of the stormwater, all has to get done under that permit. So that's observed by DEP, they oversee it, the conservation district. So the intent is to do all that earth disturbance at that time, under that permit. Because once you close out that permit, if you come back and you disturb another acre, you have to go get another permit. So the intent is to get one permit, do the work, and like Chuck said, the amenities, like we can install a bench at any time, that's not really earth disturbance.
Right.
The gazebo, there'll be an area for the gazebo as part of phase one, and then when we go to purchase a gazebo later down the road, we can just plop it in, so.
So you're thinking of putting 2 gazebos
No,
in
one.
there? Oh, one. Okay, because I was going to say one, I think is even overkill.
Right, so that's
It's supposed to be a nature
future,
preserve.
that's a future phase two item, so but the work under phase one it will be a completed park.
Okay, I just, like I said, my concerns are, that it's not going to be as nice as it could be, we'll see. I guess we'll have to see what you come up with completed plans. Your post-construction plan drawing, that's what someone gave me that term today.
Yeah, that's part of the
So,
NPDS permit that we have to get with the state. Yeah.
Right, okay, all right, well, thank you for the update.
Yeah, you can both start working your way up.
Sometimes James McDaniel, 1415 Zebby Road East. Sometimes I think people must be blind. How much did it cost for the Collins people to do their study of that reserve? Was it 135,000, something like that? How much did he charge?
Off the top of my head, I want to say in the 40s, but that was funded through a grant, so the grant paid for it.
Yeah, but that's still Pennsylvania tax money. Okay, that's what I'm saying. The Chester Valley, is that the right name? Because I don't have my paperwork
Yes,
with me.
you're correct.
How much did they charge?
I don't know what that number is off the top of my head either.
Well, we paid twice, right? Two different studies?
The one was a concept, this is a permit. These
Right.
people are applying for permits.
Right, but still two different studies, okay? Could Collins issue the permit also?
No,
No, okay, so we paid kind of twice. I feel sorry, that letter, who put the letter in the tax bill? Is that the tax collector? Is that his letter?
Tax collector put it in with input from the board.
Okay. I think the board should have signed it. Whoever voted that package in should have signed it at the bottom of the letter, okay? That's the way things are really done. He just, the tax collector was just a messenger here. The fire tax increase, the EMS increase, the trash increase. That's there because you people are wasting so much money on the land reserve. You're taking money for the land reserve and you're pushing the cost off on these people, the people in the letter. I was here one night, you debated 30 minutes or longer about buying a lousy $76,000 police car. You're taking money for the reserve and these parks and you're passing the increase. You're blaming the fire companies, you're blaming the EMTs, and you're blaming the trash people. You're sucking us dry for that park reserve. It's a whitewash. It's a whitewash. I don't even want to comment.
I understand that. I look forward to having that conversation at the meeting at the end of the month.
You're taking money from these organizations to build the reserve. How much was the gazebo? 55,000, 35,000? When this started out, you were paying $2,500 for each park bench, $2,500 for a park bench, and you wanted 10 of them. The reason we're paying so much you're pushing it off, you're blaming the fire company, you're blaming the police department, you're blaming the EMTs and the trash people, when the reserves in the parks is what's jacking up our taxes.
That's
Now,
not correct.
Talk to somebody.
I'd like to be clear that the EMS, fire, and trash are all separate funds, and that money is dedicated. It's all separate funds, and that is paid for that, and we'll be able to show that. We show it actually every month.
It's still tax
in the
money.
treasurer. Absolutely.
Tax money.
It is correct. It's tax money.
Yes.
I'm gonna ask 1612 Wendy Way. But first of all, you did take 42,000 and change from the maintenance and another the same from the police. Did you not, to match the grant for that? Yeah, you really did. Look back in the meeting, it happened in October. You did. He's not wrong, but that's not why I'm standing up here. Can you tell me where the final plan for phase one, where I could see that or anyone could see it?
we don't have final plans right now. That's what they're working on.
Who's they?
Chester Valley.
Chester Valley.
So the plan that's on the website is the plan that was discussed at the public meeting.
Right.
We have not issued an updated plan yet.
Okay.
When we get an
So
updated
that's
plan,
where the
we
confusion is.
will post an updated plan and we'll have a discussion about it, but that's not, we're not there yet. They're still working on it. Like I said, until we kind of get PennDOT situated, we probably won't have that.
Last month I was unable to attend. So I just heard that you gave money to Knoll. How much money was given to Knoll and what was it for?
It was 30,000, right?
Yes.
30,000 for them to review the plans, update the easement document, and then a $10,000 contribution for them to continually kind of maintain.
It's a lifelong stewardship.
Yeah, stewardship.
So that's like a $40,000?
30, no, 30, it's 30. in
30
total. 10
included that 10?
Yes, 20 for them to do the review and 10 for the stewardship.
That sounds like a bribe. I'm sorry. I want that to go on record, but it does. You wanted to get what you wanted and you're paying money to get things changed that have been in the way they were since 1999. That is so.
We're paying, they require a fee to review any changes to the site, so that's.
Not for $30,000. I'm sorry. I want to see where that came from. And can you also tell us, we also asked 2 months ago where you made some comments about the insurance.
It's on the website.
On where on the website?
It's up there.
It's
Is
under
it,
the preserve, yeah, if you click on the Shaper Preserve, it's under there.
right. And last month's meeting, is it still available to be viewed?
Yeah, on YouTube.
Yeah, so if you wanted to see like the full dialogue around that null, that should be available to be viewed as well.
On YouTube.
Any other questions from the public?
Hi, Erica Brignac, 1440 Namus Creek Road. I'm just wondering, when was the Schaefer property purchased by the Bethel Township? For the use of Bethel Township?
2021, I believe.
2021, and who were the members of the board at that time?
Myself, Supervisor Davy, Supervisor Schneider.
Garibaldi.
Alex was here for some of it.
You said Schneider, right?
To me, Davy,
I
Schneider.
have it. Davy, Icono, Schneider, D'Agostino, and Garibaldi, but he wasn't here when they voted for it.
Okay, so just you and the two that are not here, plus
No,
other two?
correct.
Okay, and what was the purpose of purchasing that property? Why did Bethel want to purchase the property?
To acquire more open space for our residents.
And at that time, was it your idea or the board's idea to turn it into a park for the rest of the Bethel residents to enjoy?
I think, yeah, then that's what Dr. Schaefer wanted it open to the public.
Right, I do remember being here for a meeting where Dr. Schaefer specifically handed out maps from a park, I think in Swarthmore or something, and was saying that his vision and that really the only reason he sold it to Bethel was so that it could be turned into a park for the residents to take advantage of. Is that
Correct.
true?
Yes.
Okay, so is it also true that there had not been a plan that the previous board had lapsed a overall plan for over the 10-year period that a comprehensive plan should have been updated or renewed?
I'm not sure.
Are you saying that-
We had a comprehensive plan that was older than 10 years, yes.
Right, and it is supposed to be updated every 10 years, is
Correct.
that correct? So is part of that plan, does that also lead to the funding of EMS, fire and police?
It speaks to it. I mean, not so much funding, but it speaks to the importance of those.
And probably
items, yeah.
the initiatives for improvement,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, so the comprehensive plan was outdated and has recently been
Correct,
updated?
yes.
When was it recently updated?
And last year, beginning of this
Might have been
year,
December
I actually think it might
2024.
have been this year.
might have been.
Oh.
This year,
January.
okay,
It's
so
been the past few months.
It doesn't surprise me that if the comprehensive plan had been overdue, that some of these new expenses are coming up. I do understand that the EMS, I understand how we were sort of leaning on Crozier, and that, thank God that we changed that now because they're not in any sort of place to provide that to us now. So I appreciate that the board made that a priority, because when somebody is having an emergency, whether they are in the retirement home or in your own home, seconds matter. So I do applaud that of the board that's here today to make those changes. And I'm just wondering if I feel like everybody is very worried about the reserve, but I kind of feel like it will be a very positive piece of our township. It will, I know last time, I think there was some discussion about what is the return on investment. I think the return on investment is the enjoyment of the park. And it may not be a monetary return, but it is a return for the people in Bethel Township to observe and use the park as it was intended by the previous board and why they spent the money for it, and by Dr. Schaefer himself. So I applaud you for trying to make it into a place that's going to be used by the public for years to come. And I just wanted to get some of that straight. Also, the trash probably had, since the comprehensive plan had been outdated and overdue for updating, was the trash also part of that, trash and recycling?
I don't think it
That
is,
was.
but certainly our agreement was up. And,
Right.
I think that we couldn't have predicted, I think all municipalities were feeling that surge.
Right.
But it's a tough pill to swallow when it's. such a
Yeah, I know in
significant
Delaware
increase.
right now, they're having a lot of increase in fees with Delmarva Power. And a lot of people are having trouble with their bills, and they're trying to pass some state laws to help not only low income, but moderate income of households put up with that. So that may be if the tax increase and the trash increase and all these increases, that might be something that we really want to contact our legislator about, because that is happening across the state, not just in our township. And that could possibly be some of these people who maybe are really struggling with those taxes. That really should be a legislative issue statewide. So I encourage you to contact Craig Williams, who is our state representative, to see if you can get some tax relief for the citizens here that are struggling. And that's really all I wanted to say. And thank you for your service.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, one more comment. Hey, Bill, just an FYI, it'd be good if we can get that clock updated.
Yeah.
I just looked at it and realized it's definitely not 7 o'clock.
6, I was like, huh.
James McDaniel, 1415 Zebby Road East. The problem is, man, it's not a park, it's reserved, okay? I think everybody's having a hard time understanding that. It's not a park. And if the tax problem is addressed to me, my wife and I paid my house off 30 years ago, and my wife and I have no debt. But I don't like to see my money pissed away on taxes. I feel that was directed towards me. My wife and I have no debt, okay?
So you brought up that other people, that you were worried about other people not being able to pay taxes. That's why I directed
Right.
you. I wasn't.
But there's a lot of people that feel that way. They don't have the guts to come up here. Because what she said about the address is right. Back in 2019, somebody tried beating down the door of my house. Little did they know I was on the other side with a loaded shotgun. And I'll tell you, honest to God, I don't know what stopped me from pulling the trigger. No, I'm just saying, I'm not threatening you. I'm saying what this lady said is right.
What did she say about the addresses? I didn't.
Because there were people would speak up here, but they're afraid of retaliation.
I don't know why you're directing that.
Because you made a comment about taxes, and I took it personal.
Well, you made a comment about taxes, and I.
Okay. Is there any other comment
I'll
from the
make a
public?
motion to adjourn.
Congratulations.
I'll second it.
I have a motion for adjournment by Supervisor Iacono and a second by Supervisor Derhinessian. All those in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned.